Hey everybody, I'm crying because my life is so good. Ugh. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I just woke up from a nap and I am gonna film get ready with me, like just a simple catch up because I haven't been speaking about my life in a bit. And a few weeks ago on IG I posted Ask Me Anything and I had a lot of questions related to my current dating situation and my mental health. So let's check in and let's go. Last year was probably like the shittiest year of my life. Not because I was being ungrateful or I wasn't like, actually I wasn't happy. I wasn't saying I was going to be happy. I wasn't happy, but it was like a healing year for me because I had like a really traumatic year and I had learned a lot about myself, especially related to my mental health and like how I am as a person. There was one point in time where I was in isolation in the hotel and then like my mental health went down low. So that was like a triggering point for like my anxiety and my depression. I had a lot of issues that I didn't really want to face about myself, and that resulted in me having a lot of sleepless nights and being upset at how I was as a person. I was in an unhappy relationship, not because I didn't love the person. I was very in love with my ex for sure, and it was a very significant relationship in my life and I'm very thankful for it. However, it wasn't the healthiest for me as a person because it resulted in a lot of toxic behaviors. So before I go in, I'm gonna put on some foundation because I'm going for a date. Wow! At this current juncture, I would like to say that
this is very chaotic, but
I'm using Romy Beauty. Oh, wrong. Which is like a BB cream. I've been using it for like a few weeks since I came back, so you all probably know already. I broke up with my ex twice, so I think you guys already know because I'm very vocal about my relationship on TikTok and was very open about getting back together with my ex. So it was technically like about 1.5 years ago. It feels like a lifetime ago because like so many things have happened. Actually, when we first broke up, like it was so bad, but prior to us breaking up, I was super codependent as a person, and I've always been a very codependent person in relationships. Like I'm always dependent on a guy to like keep me stable, to like give me reassurance as a person. I know, shocking, right? But it is just something that developed as time went by. So fun fact, I've never really been single, and I was so afraid of being single because I've never been single. So it was such a big moment in my life that like I was just like,
fuck, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't be single.
I don't know how to deal with like my emotions and everything. I was just very codependent on my ex-boyfriend to make myself feel better, and obviously that put a lot of pressure on him. As the relationship wasn't doing so well, I felt really uncomfortable, and then I would put the pressure on him to make me feel better when the onus is on myself. So yeah, that was like the first part of the relationship. And then once we broke up, obviously I was like super depressed. I was like crying every day, but it wasn't like torturous, but I knew I still wanted to get back together with him. So we never actually had a breathing period of us not speaking at all, because once we broke up we were still friends and I tried to win him back, and eventually we did get back together after a few months of me crying on the phone. Maybe 2 months of us like going back and forth. We were just like, fuck it, let's just get back together. But I knew like deep down in my heart that it wasn't something that I wanted. I knew within myself that I wanted to be single, but I didn't know how, and I was very afraid. During the second part of the relationship, we spent less time together because we lived in different cities in the UK. So definitely allowed me to process a lot of my feelings on my own better, and it was also a very difficult time for me because I was experiencing a lot of intrusive thoughts, and with that it also made me very anxious as a person. Another insider about me as a person is that I am very self-critical. So as like something goes wrong in a relationship, I put a lot of pressure on myself to make it better, and I critique myself for the mistakes I do, and I find it very hard to forgive myself. So that's something that I've learned about myself as well. After experiencing all these intrusive thoughts, like I would like scrutinize my dreams, like every time I get like a hint of a negative thought coming, I would focus on it the entire day, and it would just drain me. I was very tormented by how I felt, and like my moods were like up and down constantly, and like I just felt like I was going fucking insane. I've never felt so incoherent in my mind before, so that was like a really pivotal point in my life where I knew I needed to change. So after going through all that, obviously I moved into my new apartment. I had some space, developed closer friendships with like people in London and my roommate obviously, and just lived my life. However, I was still like in love with my ex, so I didn't really want to let him go, and he was someone that was like super important in my life, and like someone that I've grown a lot with. So at that stage I wasn't ready to let him go yet. When it came towards the end of the year, the intrusive thoughts, the depression and the anxiety kept coming through, and it was like in the thick of winter. I was like just fed up. I went back home in Singapore in December, so that's when we decided to break up. Okay, so that was like the final breakup. So we broke up the second time, and in Singapore, I think like being with my family and friends, it did allow me to like position myself properly, and I think I definitely have a habit of jumping in and out of relationships. As I mentioned, I have a fear of being alone, and I'm very codependent to guys in order to make myself be happy, and I didn't really like that about myself. I knew I wanted to change. So when I came back to London, I promised that I wasn't going to get back together with my ex. So that's why we haven't gotten back together, and I have been single since December. So being single was one of my biggest fears. Before I was single, I was afraid to sleep alone. I was socially anxious meeting people. Like after living in the UK for so long, I didn't really have many friends as well. But like breaking up twice really forced me to put myself out there, meeting new people, which actually helped me a lot in my journey of becoming more confident as a person, because I knew I was growing into myself. Bobbi Brown eyeliner. Eyebrow pencil. Yeah, so during the second breakup, I was able to just like sit down and be with myself and like be with my thoughts. I was actually really anxious coming back from Singapore to London because I was away from family and friends, and I felt like it wasn't gonna be easy, like being alone and stuff like that. But initially, once I got past it, it allowed me to just focus on me. And I know it sounds really cliche, but like being single allowed me to put more energy into myself and like meeting new friends and people, which I always really wanted to do in London, and allowing myself to like travel and like live my life as a person and having my own agency to decide what I want to do. I was afraid of being alone because I have such bad anxiety, and I still have anxiety to this day. Like I get anxious over really stupid things that like trigger me. Obviously like upsetting like men. Oh my god, so cringe. But I tend to overthink a lot about like how a guy that I'm seeing would feel if they mistreat me or they leave me. So these are like my trauma points, and I know this about myself because I started going for therapy. I've stopped going for therapy because I've been in a much more stable place. It was definitely necessary to allow myself to get to know allow me to get to know myself better. Yes. Yeah. So
I can't multitask.
This was like a new chapter for me, being single. It was like a sun rising, and I hate sunrises because they're so fucking early, but now I'm like a morning person. When I started being single, I tried my best not to go into the dating field immediately. Obviously like I had a fling and talked to a few guys, but I had quite a lot of boundaries because I didn't want to like get hurt, and I wasn't ready to love someone yet because it was just so fresh. So another important thing about being alone was that I was able to tolerate my anxiety and my moods. When I was attached, everything that triggered me kind of manifested and became bigger because I always saw it as a problem. But being comfortable within myself, I realized that these moods come and go. And something that really resonated with my healing was that you as a person, like your mind is the sky and your thoughts and your emotions come and go like clouds. So if you keep focusing on the clouds, one particular cloud of like sadness and like stress, it kind of manifests and becomes a bigger cloud because you are not able to see the other clouds in the picture. So cliche, but it's true. The next step, I think, for me, what I learned about myself is like finding my voice. And sometimes your anxiety kind of leads you to finding your voice, but it's a very complicated journey because it kind of clouds your judgment from time to time, but it forces you to sit down and just be comfortable with yourself and finding my own voice. Firstly, therapy is super important. I know not many people can afford it. It's quite expensive, but if you do, I would really give it a shot because it really helped me like dissect my feelings and compartmentalize the way I am as a person and like allow me to get to know myself better. So like sometimes when you get lost in thought, it kind of grounds you. But obviously, it takes time. It's not like a one-shot thing. Like you have to find the right person and the right connection with your therapist. It took me a while to see results, but it comes and goes. So like progress isn't linear. So it was like but besides that, okay, here are some books that I recommend. So this one is called Self-Compassion by Kristin Neff, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself. This is like an introduction to self-compassion therapy, which really helped me a lot and which is what my therapist specializes in. Basically, learning how to be kind to yourself and understanding yourself on a deeper level and understanding why you are a certain way, and when you know yourself better, you don't feel so bad about yourself. So yeah, that was the first thing that really helped me. It's not very like chim in the sense where it's like very hard, like there's a lot of things to dissect, like trauma or whatever. And then when I had a lot of intrusive thoughts, can be negative thoughts that you feel about yourself, or like just a voice telling you like shit and you don't want to hear it. This book helped me a lot. It's quite easy to read. It's called Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts, and it basically just tells you that you are not what you think. When I was single, I was in like a situationship which really affected my self-esteem. I think because I wanted like to be rescued again, so like same thing as before. But once I recognized that I'm not receiving what I deserve as a person and what I need as a person, I decided to cut that person off. And also like with help from my friends and family and like my roommate, she was very pivotal in my healing journey for sure. Thumbs up. Should I put on eyeshadow for my date? Okay, I look a bit plain. Okay, let's do some eyeshadow, guys. Okay, Etude House. This is something that I just carry on hand. Having like healthy coping habits is something that I definitely recommend. Let's be real, like you can turn to alcohol, you can turn to drugs, and being in the UK, these are things that are very abundant. I'm being very honest here. I think when I was so depressed, I really didn't want to make myself feel worse because there are a couple of times that I got really pissed drunk and the next day I just felt so fucking depressed. I felt even worse. So that's why I decided not to drink or to party during those periods of time because I knew the after effects were going to be worse. But obviously I did go out from time to time to just let loose, and sometimes you just need it. Oh my god, I really cannot multitask. I'm so sorry. I'm just using a brown shade on my eyes. I have cut out like a lot of toxic habits that I used to have, mentally toxic habits, and I've gotten to know myself on a much deeper level that like things that I recognize that I don't like about myself, I tend to not dwell on. So I used to dwell a lot on things that make me upset and that made me feel worse in general. But yeah, talking about it and like sharing your soul with someone that you really trust. So I think talking to someone who probably has experienced depression or has grown up in the same way as you, like for me, I came from a single parent family, like my dad wasn't around, so like talking to someone who has the same experiences helps helps you identify that person and makes you feel less alone. Because I think a lot of people like reached out to me from time to time to say that they find it really hard to vocalize how they feel with their friends and family because they do not understand. And yeah, I agree, like not everyone can understand how you feel, and I think it takes time to obviously find that right person. But just a word of advice to always have empathy, and what these people think is not a reflection of you but more of themselves. So yeah, it's hard to take it personal. Like, I mean, I lost a friend last year and I sometimes still think about it. But yeah, things happen. For me, when I was really sad, I just started playing video games. I started developing weird hobbies like going to Selfridges to walk around but not buying anything. Hanging out with my friends. Cooking has helped kill a lot of my anxiety and like depression because I like to cook. So, and it takes out a lot of time cooking. So I cooked a lot. Yeah, so having a routine really helps. When you break up, you remember why you guys broke up. So you write down the list of reasons that you guys broke up. So every time you kind of like wallow in self-pity or like look back on like how perfect it was, rose-tinted lenses, you look at that paper and you realize why you guys broke up. So that really helps me. A new chapter! Okay, this is a new chapter for me. So I've been dating around for the past few months and talking to many people and meeting new people, and like being single allows me to just like be very socially active as a person, and obviously my bank account is suffering. However, it's fun because I won't ever get this opportunity ever again. So yeah, don't tolerate bullshit from men, guys. Like, that's something that I realized. And even if you sleep with a guy on the first date, it doesn't matter. Like, I personally don't do that because I like to develop a bit of sexual tension first. So usually when you meet someone off like dating apps, like you sleep with them on the first date, if you find them really hot, then yeah, go ahead. But for me, I can't do it because I find it very awkward. But however, if he doesn't call you after that, fuck that guy. Like, remember to see the person for their true selves and not like what you idealize of them, because I think sometimes people can paint themselves to be like better than what they are, especially when you're dating. Moving on from situationships, you can just, yeah, like, it sucks lah. Like, it sucks to get rejected, and it's normal to feel sad, so it takes a while to be processed. But after a while, you just realize it's fucking gross and you just cringe at the thought of like being together with that person. Yeah, this new chapter has been really fun. I've been like traveling a lot, so I went to Tenerife and it was a new experience because I won't dive into too much detail, but yeah, it was something I've never done before, like traveling alone and then meeting someone there, and it was something I've never done before. And then going for Coachella, I met some friends on the plane, and like just having the options to just like talk to people and not feel stressed out about it, that was super enriching and exciting for me because I'm naturally a very extroverted person. But I think when I'm in a relationship, I tend to close myself off, and it has made me sad. Yeah. I'm gonna answer some questions that I've gotten off IG. So like, people ask, how do you hype yourself up for a date? Technically, I don't. I just like be myself. And if it's boring, then I usually just leave after the dinner. But I think there's a lot of pressure on guys for sure. Like, being rejected sucks, and I've been rejected, so I know how it feels. How do I meet people? Dating apps. The person that I'm meeting right now after this, so I hit on the airport, and then we just started friends, and now we're going on a date. Yeah. Okay, I also stress about this. So I stress about hurting others. So I think just being honest from the start, and like being honest throughout your journey, and not over promising like what you expect from the relationship is very important. So the person has their own sets their own expectations. If they don't agree, then it wasn't meant to be. How do you meet someone when you have an introverted personality? Honestly, it's hard, man. I don't know. Like, I can't help you there. Like, friends of friends, date your friends. Don't recommend that. Don't date your friends. Dating apps. I think this was quite an interesting question. Hookup culture. Have I hooked up with people and have one night stands? Yes, I have. I wouldn't say a lot. Maybe like twice in my life. I think it's alright, like, if you're able to like detach yourself from being devalued as a person from sex or just being used for sex, then yeah, hookup culture is completely fine. This is nude sticks all over blush. Most women, maybe not to generalize, some women unable to do that and they feel like worse about themselves after. So I think it really depends on how you take it. Like for me, hooking up with people on holidays because I'm never going to see them again, I don't fucking care. You get to explore yourself sexually and learn new things about yourself in the bedroom, which is also very fun. However, I think you should go in with like the right mindset. I think if you go in to make yourself feel better about yourself or like fuck someone to get over your ex, it's not gonna make you feel better because you're gonna just think about your ex and it's gonna be really complicated. But if you just wanna fuck around and have some fun, then just do it. Just do it, yo. We are living in the real world, guys. It's not a fake world. It's the real world. People are gonna judge you for it. And if you can handle the judgment, go for it. But if you can't and you feel very affected by what other people think of you, don't tell people that you fuck around. Just tell your best friend or tell someone that you really trust, but don't tell other people. And yes, we've come to the end of the video. Yeah. This is my finished makeup look. This is my cuckoo bird appointment look. I finished off with some eyeliner and like a bit of lipstick. But yes, we have come to the end of this video. I'm glad that you guys are here chit-chatting with me and getting to know me on a deeper level, and I hope the stuff that I talk about resonates with you guys. And leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Remember to like the video, please. Thank you. Bye.